very good evening. Thank you, ma'am, for inviting me again. So now we are going to talk about AP Macroeconomics. As I've already discussed that economics is all about decision making. In the micro, we were talking about the decision making related to the individuals. Now, when we are talking about AP Macroeconomics, we are going to talk about the decision making related to economy as a whole. So rather than talking about the individual demand or the market demand, we are going to talk about the aggregate demand, aggregate supply, the demand of whole economy particularly. Now, one of the equation of aggregate demand can be consumption of the economy, adding to the investment done in the economy, the government expenditure of that particular year, or the net exports that we used to take. So comprising all can be formed as the aggregate demand over here. Now, when you're talking about the decision that is related to the whole economy, you need to consider every aspect of economy that has been done inside the economy, or the citizens that are not there inside the economy, not living in that particular country, and they're residing in another country. So you need to take every aspects over there. Now we're going to talk about the skills that are associated with the AP macroeconomics. So first one is defining the economic principles and the models. So there are various economic principles that are associated with the concepts. Like if I talk about the classical approach, the Keynesian approaches, there are various theories and models given by various basically the economists over there. Now we need to define it, we need to explain it, and we need to take the help that how we can actually apply in the concept. So as you all know that AP is the application based exam. So you need to apply these things over there to answer your questions. Now, first, the second one is the explain given economic outcomes. Now, you should know that what is the economic outcome of what given situation that they have given. Let's say when the aggregate demand increases, so they're going to ask you like that, what happens to the price level or what happens to the real GDP. So you should be able to answer like when aggregate demand increases, when it is moving towards the right, so what is going to happen with the price level that is also going to increase, and what happens to the real GDP that is also going to increase. Now the third point is specifically based on the FRQs, because what happens in the free response question, they're going to give you a particular situation, a hypothetical situation, they're going to create it for any certain economy, and then they're going to ask you the question on the basis of it. So you should be able to answer, let's say they have given you that in a specific economy, there is an inflationary gap. Now to remove that particular gap, which policy should be applied by the government or which policy should be applied by the central bank? Like they can talk about the inflationary gap or recessionary gap, any gap, and what policy, appropriate policy should be applied over there. Now you can easily explain these examples with the help of graphs. As I told you earlier also, that graphs is a very important tool, and wherever you're going to use it in a proper manner, it will give you the advantage in the answers over there. Now let's talk about the course description over here. Now again, you can see 6 units in macroeconomics as well. So unit 1 is a basic economics concept. As I told earlier that this particular unit is common for micro and macro. Only this unit, I should mention like this, is common for micro and macro, because sometimes students generally get confused that most of the curriculum is same or not. No, only unit 1 is common for both micro and macro, but the composition, the weightage over here in macro is just 5 to 10%, whereas in micro it was 15 to 20%. So this is the only difference. Now unit 2 is all about economic indicators and business cycles. Now if I talk about why macro was created, it is just to know the health of the economy, how our economy is performing, or we can talk about how to limit the unemployment and how to keep the prices stable in the economy. So these are three basic questions where economy always decide or make a decision that what we should do now. Now, economic indicators, let's say you might have heard about the GDP, gross domestic product, the national income, the GDP per capita, and the different phases of the business cycle. So we talk about these all things in unit 2, and the weightage over here is 12 to 17%. Now, unit 3 is all about national income and price determination. Here we talk about the national income, and we also give the idea about the aggregate demand and aggregate supply. We talk about the shifters of aggregate demand and supply. Here we generally introduce the classical and the Keynesian approaches related to the aggregate demand and aggregate supply. So this is very, very important. So 17% to 27% is the weightage of the third unit over here. Now unit 4 is financial sector. So students generally enjoy this particular unit because it is related to money, or I should say it is related to the central bank. And if I talk about the US, that we used to say Federal Reserve Banking System, we are going to talk about. And in this particular thing, we talk about the money supply and what should be the tools of central bank that they used to apply in the case of inflationary cap and the recessionary cap. So this particular unit is quite easy and you can enjoy this unit. So 18 to 23% is the weightage over here. And unit 5 is all about long-run consequences of stabilization policies. So here we generally talk about the long-run growth of the economy. So we talk about the long-run aggregate supply, the PPC curve, and how we can talk about that how my economy is performing in the long run. So here we also talk about the Phillips curve and the relationship between the inflation and the unemployment with the help of Phillips curve. Now, unit 6 is all about open economy. It is a very important unit to understand in general, not as I'm saying of AP Macroeconomics, that you should know about what is happening in other countries too. Here we talk about the international trade, international currency, the balance of payment, current account, capital account. So these all aspects are very important. As an individual, you should know about it, what is happening in our economy as well as what is happening in others' economy. So this is like basic knowledge that you should have. Now, again, if I talk about the structure of the exam, again, you have two sections over here. Section 1 is multiple choice questions, and section 2, you'll be getting free response questions. It is exactly same of AP Macroeconomics. So you'll be having 60 questions. Time durations will be 70 minutes. You'll be having 5 options, and you need to pick your answer from that, all 5 options. And the weightage over here is 67% of the AP score. Now, please do remember they most of the time they won't be giving you a direct multiple choice question. As I said, it is application based. So you should know the meaning, the aspect of everything in detail. Then only you can answer multiple choice question. It seems to be easy, but it won't be that much easy. Now, free response questions will be 3 again. 1 will be the long FRQ, 2 will be the short FRQs. Time will be 60 minutes and 10 minutes they're going to allot for the planning part, and the weightage over here is 33%. There is no negative marking. So please do answer all the multiple choice questions and do answer all the free response questions. Now, graphs that we generally draw on pen and paper, one is from pen, not from pencil. So you should know about it. No calculators are permitted. One more thing that is not permitted in the exam is rulers. So you need to draw your graphs freehand. So you should have a practice of it before you are attempting your exam. Now, again, these strategies for answering the free response questions are also same. Always take the advantage of 10 minutes planning. Remember that you may answer the questions in any order, but if you're answering in any order, let's say you're picking the third one, second question, but do not forget the first FRQ, because first FRQ has the maximum weightage. So I prefer that please do attempt your first FRQ and then go to the second one or third one, anyone, but because it has 50% of the weightage. So first FRQ, please do attempt it. Now, don't restate the questions, use correct terminology. Please, if you're going to write your answer, if you're going to use more oftenly the terminology that they wanted or that has been taught to you for this curriculum, please do use it. Okay, because when they're asking for the inflationary gap, they're asking for the contractionary fiscal policy or expansionary fiscal policy, don't mention it, that this policy should be used in this particular situation and what will happen in this particular policy. Your taxes should be high, what should be happen to the aggregate demand. So please do use these terminologies, it will give you the advantage. And graphs, as I told you earlier, this is a very good tool. If you're going to use it wisely, it will give you the advantage. Now, exam of macroeconomics is on 5th May 2022. And as I told earlier, that calculators aren't permitted on the exam. Now, again, the prerequisites are not there for AP Macro, and FRQs are available on the College Board website. The review that the material that you can use for the preparation, again, Princeton Review, Barron's or Macro Hills, all are a very good books that you can refer for. And please do attempt mocks that are already there in the books, and then please attempt your paper. So you should have a good idea about like 2 to 3 mocks at least, then only attempt your paper. And one more thing that I want to add on over here, that scaled score for AP Micro and Macro should be at least 80 to 85%. Then only you can get a 5 for it. Okay, so the scale score is a bit high. So you need to do a lot of hard work then. it indicates. But as I told, like you can easily opt for AP Micro and Macro both. Like it is no prerequisites or no background also needed. If you're not a economics holder, like economics background holder, then also you can easily get an idea how to do it, and it won't be a major or it won't be a difficult task for you. So you can go ahead with the subject also.